Good evening and welcome to Early Late Nights with me, your host Ciaran Marchand, right here on twitch.tv/Explosion Network, where we come to you live every Tuesday and Friday at 6:30 PM Australian Eastern Daylight Time to bring you the latest Australian and worldwide esports news right here on the channel. If you can't make it live, that's completely fine. Make sure you check out the YouTube channel 24 hours later at 7 PM on the Wednesday and 7 PM on the Saturday, as well as all good podcasting services to get the audio-only version to see the video on demand and catch the show and catch up on everything you missed. Listen to my voiceover. That's youtube.com/Explosion Network for the video itself, or just go to explosionnetwork.com for all the news, all the goss, everything that you could ever want is probably on explosionnetwork.com. And welcome. I hope you had a great Friday. I just broke for a second, but that's okay. I smashed that intro though. Intro smashed. But hope you had a good Friday. I hope you had a great start to your weekend. It's going to be a fun weekend in esports. We're going to talk a little bit about the Kuala Lumpur Major happening for Dota 2. We're going to be looking at some more Overwatch news, giving you an update about Toronto Esports today. We're going to be talking Overwatch with Ashe and having the overall kind of update for the show. As well as, going forward, doing hashtag esports for dummies, giving you a bit of news on a particular esport. I wanted to have a shout out to Trill, the main tank player for Team Australia, who was a fantastic player all the way throughout Overwatch Contenders seasons this year, as well as doing a really good showing in general at the Overwatch World Cup, as well as in show matches against Team Canada earlier in the year. I was really happy to find out today that he's been added as the main tank player for Team Envious in the American Overwatch Contenders League. I'm so excited to see him. I think if you go back in time before Overwatch World Cup, I had said that one of the breakout stars for Team Australia was going to be Trill, and I really wanted to get picked up. After the fiasco of having to do trials on 200 ping, he's got that pickup. Dallas Fuel's academy team Envious. So he's going to be working with the likes of Aero and Jane in their spare time to help out. So it's going to be really fantastic. Small little detour of PlayStation, announcing that there's no E3 conference. Not a big deal for esports, but it's an interesting for the gaming world. Make sure you check out Arcade Couch tomorrow, and we'll get the full details on that PlayStation as we talk about that, no doubt, during the show. As well as more Overwatch. There's a whole bunch of Overwatch news. Pretty big Overwatch episode this week. Not gonna lie, people. Not gonna lie. The Hangzhou Spark have been properly announced for the Overwatch League. They are sporting a very bubblegum pink and baby blue skin and coloring for their team, and the Diva finger guns for their logo, which looks pretty sweet. So they're entering fully. We haven't seen their roster just yet, so waiting on their roster to see more about the team, as well as I don't think there's been any rosters released for the 3 Chinese new teams yet. So waiting on that still. If you want to, you say to me, Ciaran, on Saturday, well, Arcade Couch Insider Goss didn't record it on Wednesday, recording it later tonight, Michael, just so you know, behind the curtain a little bit, later tonight, Arcade Couch, so we'll be right up to date with the news, right up to date with the goss. Anyway, sorry, just moving on ahead. If you want to be, you want to test yourself against the best Overwatch players in the world, you want to see if you've got what it takes to get into Overwatch Contenders, to move up into the Overwatch League, then you need to sign up for Overwatch Open Division. That is starting. The sign-ups have already started for the first week in December. There is going to be, you play something like 2 matches a week for, you play 2 matches a week for, I think it's 4 weeks, until they reach, and then the top teams get offered into Overwatch Contenders Trials, and then from Trials you get offered into the Overwatch Contenders Tournament, and you go from there and you move up into the world and you be the very best like no one ever was. Also, finally, little bit of news, member shout out. Keep in mind, Dota 2 Pro League is happening in Melbourne in a couple weeks' time, December 8th and 9th. There will be fantastic teams like Team OG, the previous winners of the International, as well as Mineski are going to be showing themselves, as well as several great Australian teams. So it's going to be really fun to see all those teams battle it out over that weekend in Melbourne, Australia. Grab tickets, make yourself and your presence known, and have some fun with it. It's going to be a fantastic weekend once again. But that's all the minor news. Let's jump straight into the major news, and we're starting off today with Dota 2. Right now, what's happening? If you were to search the internet right now, don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Right now, the Kuala Lumpur Major is happening in Dota 2. And if you don't know too much about the Dota 2 esports scene, the pro circuit scene runs on the sets of minors and majors as well as other tournaments to kind of earn points for their right to be able to play in the international at the end of the season. This has been running for, I think, 1 or 2 years now with the pro circuit. So this is the kickoff. This is the major, kind of the first major of the season. The minors already happened. The first major for the season. So depending on where you finish in this major, if you enter it, you get a decent amount of points that go towards your score for the International 8 automatic invites and entry, so teams are fighting out right now for those. We've already had some great matches throughout and some really good stories happening throughout the group stages and the early event this week. Now the main event is kicking off with the public able to access and be able to watch. Majors and minors, I think there is 3 sets. So 3 minors, 3 majors. So the minor always happens, same city, just before it. So there's 3 big chances to get a lot of points. Other Dota 2 events score points as well. So there's more ways, but the biggest, chunkiest lots of points are to earn to win these majors. There's also very nice cash prizes for them. Don't get me wrong about that. There's very nice cash prizes, and it kind of offsets some of the crowdfunding stuff that happens throughout the year, and they minimize the amount of crowdfunding they have to use, because it was getting to the point where they were holding something like 2 or 3, they were holding like 2 major events and an international, but they were crowdfunding them all, and people didn't have the money for that, like, just to keep supporting it that way. So that was a really good change up. Team Secret are looking dominant as always. They had a really good run in the international. They moved forward into the 2018/2019 season, and they've started this major off right. They've already taken the scalps of VG. They've just finished off LGG within the last hour, winning 2-0 in the first upper bracket final, taking themselves, the upper bracket semi-finals, and then the upper bracket final is happening tomorrow. Team Secret will be facing the winner of the remaining final that is currently happening as we speak. I believe that is Virtus Pro versus Ninja in Pajamas. So we'll see the winner. I think Virtus Pro will probably take the winner of those 2 maps, but Ninjas in Pajamas have been playing very well. That game is happening right now. But to see Team Secret on top, the legendary Puppy is still carrying on his ways and stepping up into a really good spot. They're just coming off that ESL win, so to see them do really well in this major is fantastic to see, and hopefully Team Secret can keep that up. The underdog story, or the story the crowd's getting really far behind, into, is the underdog C team TNC. TNC. I was going to say F and C. It's not TNC. It's not F and C. It's TNC. TNC started off the group stages 1 win and 4 losses, and they were not looking too good. They were looking for an early exit in the whole major, but they so far have fought through. And so lower brackets in Dota 2 events, generally like single loss, like 1 loss and you're out. They're on like a 3-game winning streak. They have come through. They're now awaiting their opponent. They'll be facing off with NIP, or the loser of NIP or Virtus Pro, later today. So that'll be pretty cool. That'll be pretty fun to watch. So make sure the lower bracket teams currently are EG and TNC making it through. And TNC have continued this really good run. They've had a bit of a history of not being able to finish off high ground, or not being able to put that kind of end moment into it. So it's really good to see them start putting some wins together and making a really good run for the upper half of the finals. So they've got their chance and opportunity to make top 4, which I think is fantastic for them. And nobody would have expected that going into this event, especially with the group stages. After the group stages, most people would have ruled them out pretty quickly. It's an interesting turn of events with Chinese Dota having its say. Like, Chinese Dota is in a really weird spot. It goes through these periods of being super strong, and then it kind of backs off and stops being strong, We had the period where IG Gaming were ridiculously strong. They were best team in the world, winning TI2. TI4 was Newbie. Newbie were fantastic. Then we had Wings Gaming coming through. but at the minute, Chinese gaming just don't seem to be able to get in with the current meta of Dota and be able to make a mark, to actually make a difference in these tournaments at the moment with teams like weekCiaran Gaming and LGD even though LGD are doing really well, they're still not hitting their stride as they previously were a couple months ago. Tomorrow, keep an eye out for tomorrow. The big game of tomorrow is going to be Evil Geniuses versus PSL LGD. We're going to be seeing a very competitive game there. I think Evil Geniuses have turned it on a little bit, have kind of found their stride a lot better in these last, and I think LGD have a lot to prove here that they can put their team together in these moments and win big. So I'm going to go with the winner of that game is probably going to be Evil Geniuses. I'm going to say EG. I was going to say EVG, and that's not a thing. EG's going to win that match so I'm going to say out of NIP and Virtus Pro, I'm going to say Virtus Pro wins. We're going to carry on the dream a little bit. NIP versus TNC, then TNC's going to win that game, and we're going to go to... we're going to have an EG TNC, and EG's going to win that. Going through to the final game, the upper bracket final, Team Secret versus Team Virtus Pro. Team Secret will take that. EG is going to beat Virtus Pro, and then I think, even despite other rankings that happens, so I think the grand final is going to be Team Secret versus Evil Geniuses, and then we're going to have Team Secret pulling through. Because I think Team Secret just look way too strong right now, way too good. There's no way they're going to be, taking their foot off the pedal at all in this tournament. Maybe they're going to have a lull in the coming months, but I think right now, Team Secret is hitting their stride. They're really enjoying this meta. The new team composition is really strong, so I think they're going to keep winning out and keep pushing forward through this event. Now, if you were here for the show on Tuesday, I discussed Toronto Esports. They kind of imploded after Overwatch League made a decision that the Toronto Defiant, the brand new Overwatch League team has sole rights to having Toronto within the name. This causes some problems because, of course, Toronto Esports is one of the best teams in Overwatch North American contenders. So it came out that the Toronto Esports Twitter and the manager for Toronto Esports, Ryan Pallett, kind of came together and out of nowhere made this decision to pull Toronto Esports out of Overwatch, not going to compete in contenders. Kind of left the team hanging there a little bit. It was interesting. So more news has come out about this since I reported it on Tuesday night, that Boston Uprising didn't have any idea or any involvement in the decision that was made by Toronto Esports. They found out about the same time that we found out via Twitter. So they kind of had to scramble. They couldn't comment straight away, and they had to scramble and try and work out. It was good to hear that Boston Uprising holds the contracts for all the players and staff from Toronto Esports. So don't worry if you're a fan of Toronto Esports. Their players will still have their opportunity for Overwatch contenders. They're still going to have, their team and their matches made up for them. They're still, all that'll happen most likely is Boston will take them, probably move them either into Boston or into another area and rebrand and rebuild a little bit. We've seen some players have already moved on, with teams like the LA Gladiators Academy team have, already made a purchase and picked up a player from the disbanded Toronto Esports. So it's been really good to see. But, it was really weird. So Toronto Esports, Ryan Pallett's come out previously and stated, this is the first time, Michael. So Michael just asked in chat, is this the first time that naming branding thing has happened in esports? Well, Overwatch League is the first esport that has heavily included city names in its branding and tried to make that kind of, much like a American sport or a normal sport where their teams are city-based, so you get the city behind them. Overwatch is the first kind of event to do that with Overwatch League. So this thing has never really, there's obviously been, minor problems or team names being inappropriate or just overall organizations. I don't think that we've ever had an organization having to change names because of a proper Cloud9 or Ninjas in Pajamas or your Evil Geniuses. They're not going to have the same problem. It's more Overwatch League, and I kind of understand. And I don't think we haven't had this problem too much before because we've never had an Overwatch League team be put in a place that already has an esports team that's put in that kind of same position with Toronto. So Toronto have come out and said they're going to start moving into other games, so they'll probably move into Fortnite or Call of Duty. Best of luck to them. I think it was a bad idea moving completely out of Overwatch League. I understand the money for Overwatch Contenders has been lowered, as well as the overall budget for Overwatch League has been lowered a little bit, but it's not great. Like, it's not. I don't think it's the best idea just to kind of leave and just bail and just peace out. The overall community is a bit divided on it when, you know, a lot of people are like, well, it's really good that you've stood up to the man, and you know they really appreciate that. Like, you know, that the team's kind of stood up to Blizzard and said, no, you're not changing us, we're out. And there's a lot of other people who are fans that have kind of, well, okay, you've just kind of bailed. Like, we're fans of you, we've probably bought your merch, we've invested in your team, and you've bailed. And I find it really hard going forward in esports for fans to invest in Toronto Esports as a club, as a fan base, when there's a good chance that they kind of peace out and just bail and leave, you know? Like, yeah. It's all, you know, I don't think, as I said on Tuesday, this wasn't handled the best. Not by Blizzard, not by Toronto Esports, but as a whole, professionalism needs to be a key factor. As it has been shown in esports already, professionalism is a key factor for esports to grow and to be treated as if it's its own brand and it's a legitimate, you know, hobby or sport or entertainment, I guess. Yeah. We're staying with Overwatch. Pretty much Overwatch for the rest of the episode. I'm so sorry. I've just, you know, I'm in my head. Lots of things have happened. The latest patch for Overwatch has just come out. If you haven't played Overwatch in a while, maybe open up Battle.net just in case, just for now, because the latest update's about 7-8 gig. And you pretty much have to reinstall the game. Yeah, you have to reinstall the game because of some background changes that they made to the game with the latest patch. In the latest patch, we have been introduced to the character Ashe, Hero 29, that was revealed at BlizzCon a couple weeks ago, that has been fully tested on the PTR, is finally available to play in the full gaming client. Not yet in competitive play, but in quick play in every other game mode. You can jump in and play the character and check it out. She is incredibly fun to play. She is I think her skill cap's pretty high with her movement and the ability of her dynamite, being able to shoot it in midair to make it explode earlier. I think it works really well as it works really well together. So to see that coming through now, Ashe has been a really interesting impact, and it's interesting to see where she's going to be used in the meta. I think she's filling that gap between a Widowmaker and a McCree, where, you know, McCree's always had not enough range to deal with a Widowmaker, but is really good in close and against other targets. But, you know, now it fills in that gap where she can kind of do McCree's job, but also be able to deal with longer range targets. I think she'll be even better at dealing with Pharahs. I really like her kit overall. Her ultimate Bob, she is a DPS, so she's like a mid-range DPS hit scan character with a rifle. Her full kit is her rifle, which has just normal hit fire and, you know, scoped in fire. She has a dynamite that she tosses through the air that when it explodes, it deals instant damage as well as over time fire damage. The TNT can be shot, so it kind of impacts earlier, or it has like a 3-second fuse on it. There is also her coach gun, which she can use to move herself and move enemies, which is good for movement, but also good to be used throughout the game. And her ultimate, which is incredibly strong. Her ultimate is Bob, the Omnic Tank Man. He is in the lore, the faithful servant and friend of Ashe. He runs in, knocks anything he hits up in the air, stops at the point where he's hit them, and then shoots at everything around him. Like, one at a time. Not instant, not everything at the same time. But begins to shoot at everything around him. He is a really good, he's pretty much treated like a character. You can nano boost him, you can heal him, you can bubble him, you can shield him, you can sleep him, you can hack him, you can use him to contest the point. He has so many different abilities and roles that he could use to fill out the team that I think he's really versatile. He's very strong. I saw a Bob yesterday be used to hold a point and kill 3 people and maintain holding the point. Was ridiculous when the rest of the team was already dead. But I think at the moment she's in an interesting spot. There, of course, will be nerfs and changes to her. I think her hip firing is really, really good, like almost way too good right now. So to kind of, that damage is probably going to get lowered a little bit. Maybe Bob is going to be changed up a little bit to find a nicer spot for him. But other than that, she's a really good addition. She solves a few problems in the meta. It's nice to have another DPS character, especially another hit scan DPS character to play around. And it's interesting. But along with Ashe also came some more changes to other characters. And I will say all the characters that got changes probably really, really needed them. So we're going to kick it off with Mercy, her Valkyrie. Mercy previously got that massive nerf where they lowered her overall damage, overall healing from 60 heals per second to 50 health per second. And it kind of went, like, oh no, her healing dropped off and Moira and Ana became more viable healers because of it. So they now made the change to Valkyrie. The Valkyrie, her ultimate, once used, now does that 60 healing a second again. So if you want to get her back up to that old healing where Winston can't instantly kill anything anymore, you have to ulti. So that's only for a small period of time now. I think it's a good change. Mercy was in such a weird spot because she's only used now in like double sniper or fire comps. And it's not great. She's not great compared to what Moira and Ana are able to do in those comps. So she still needs work. It's not going to fix it completely. It's a nice change. It's kind of funny that they're just having to go back and fix her again after nerfing her slowly into the ground because, you know, she was the primary healer for most of Overwatch life. So to see that change is kind of nuts. But oh well. Reaper, the randomization of his scatter on his guns has been, or the spray has been less random, so you'll get more even damage coding on every single shot, which is a really nice life change, as well as his DPS in general, and his lifesteal. So if you didn't know, it's probably a little unknown ability of Reaper, is that he actually steals life when you shoot people. So originally it was 20% per shot, now you get 30% of the shot is now lifesteal, which is really good for him. He's supposed to be this character that is in the middle lines, you know, fighting it out, roughing it up with tanks, destroying tanks, brawling, but he always felt a little bit too squishy, a little bit. I think these are really good changes. The lifesteal really helps him. His teleport is still the most useless ability in the game. I mark my words, it's trash. And Blizzard really do need to look at fixing that and trying to change it up a little bit. But yeah, at the moment, I think Reaper's in an interesting spot, and he's going to keep getting better. While the game is having a lot of snipers and Ashe and McCree, he's going to have a rough time. But it's a good spot. He's going to move into a more role that he can deal with stuff like goats and those heavy tank field lineups. So he's in a good spot to do really well. We also had Hog. Roadhog went on a period of just getting nerfed, just slowly nerfed and changed and hit up. And so it's really nice to get him to get some buffs. He's chain. The cooldown now happens immediately as soon as you throw the hook instead of after you've completed it. The time you get to pull them in is now shorter, so you know there's less time for something to go wrong, or those moments where they're running, so as you hook them, their momentum takes them just far enough that your hook breaks. Stuff like that will stop happening now, so that's really good. Once again, the spread on his scrap gun the randomization has been changed for both his main fire and his alternate fire, so that should help with his DPS as well. And the knockback on his ultimate ability on the full hog is really, really good now. He's got raised by another 25%, so he's going to get some really good knockback, some really good control on enemy characters. So I really like it. And then finally, Symmetra has changed. Her primary fire has been increased by 20%. Seems interesting. I think her and Torbjorn are in weird spots because they're not going to be used in normal pay. They're just going to be these niche picks. But she's really cool against these big tanks. Or if you've got a Reinhardt that's just shield, if you just wail into him with your left click with your primary fire for as long as possible, that shield's dead and he's going to die straight after it super quickly because your ray gun is going to be charged to the max. I think all these changes are going to be really interesting, but looking at the current state of Overwatch, recently, the streamer and former Overwatch League player Seagull released a video going over some of the problems in Overwatch of its current state with the tank-heavy lineups of 3-3, or also known as GOATS comp, as well as the obvious counters to each comp, have kind of made Overwatch a little bit restrictive in many ways. They've kind of limited the amount of times you can play characters or the hard counters in the game. So if you play a Brigitta, you're going to get hard. Like if you're playing Tracer and there's a Brigitta in the other team, you kind of need to just swap instantly because you're going to get mauled. Or you're going to be picking something that's potentially a throw pick just because they have an instant counter on the other team. And it's interesting to think. I appreciate his time he put into the video. It brings up some important issues, but he doesn't bring up any ways to fix the issues. Like, he just kind of he wants to voice his opinion, but he doesn't want to help fix them. Like, he doesn't want to give examples of what they could do to fix it. So, Blizzard's in an interesting point as it is trying to make the game and change the game up. So, we'll see how they take that video and what lessons they learn from that video. And I do agree, sometimes in competitive, it is a bit cookie cutter. It is a bit, all over the place. So, we'll see. And also on the PTR, there has been changes made to Brigitta and Doomfist, two of probably the scourges of Overwatch right now. Brigitta's stun no longer goes through shields, which is an interesting as fuck change, and lots of people don't like it because of how it works. But it's an interesting change up for how she will deal with Reinhardt, and also how overall she will be used in the game. And then Doomfist, his worst thing about Doomfist in the game, when he uppercuts you, your character loses all ability to move in the air. They've lowered the amount of time that stuff takes, so it's a lot quicker. You can move quicker, as well as lowering the amount of damage that Seismic Slam can do, and the distance it can go. The problem with Seismic Slam was Doomfist, if you're a really good Doomfist, you flew across the map and it was like, oh crap. Like, the Doomfist is over the back corner, he uppercuts, punches, seismics at you, and he's at your feet in seconds, and his cooldowns are not very long. So he can play around that and use that to his advantage. So it's a good change. I'm interested to see more coming from the PTR and the more from those changes. So, But I've talked a lot about Overwatch this episode, guys. I talked a lot. And it's my favorite game, and I've waited to do this for a little bit. I wanted to do some other esports first, but I think it's time for you to learn all you can about Overwatch. If you have never played Overwatch, in our segment Esports for Dummies, where we talk all things esports and give you some kind of hints and tips and an understanding of what the game is. And this week, Overwatch. We're going to be putting up all these videos so you can go back and watch them and learn. Overwatch is a team-based hero shooter, combining the fast-paced first-person shooting controls and gameplay mechanics with the hero-based MOBA-style characters that you come to love and understand and really grow around. Overwatch features a whole range of 29 heroes with all having different abilities and different features with different play styles. They're generally separated into tanks, supports, and damage. This was previously a little bit different with damage being dealt into defense and attack, but they simplified this by just saying, hey everybody, you do the damages. Overwatch kicked off its esports in a big way with starting off the Overwatch League this year, where teams from across the world supporting different countries or from different countries play it out for their share in prizes throughout different stages. The first season of Overwatch kicked off with 4 stages playing across different map pools. There is a whole wide variety of game styles and play modes in Overwatch. You can be playing a whole range of maps with different objectives, from moving a cart through the streets that is stopped by the enemy to capturing a point, or hybrid game modes or game modes that vary those play styles. You can choose a variety of characters to fill up your 6-man teams. In normal Overwatch, there is no double ups. It's one character for your team. The other team can have that same character, but you can't build like a team of tanks. Fun fact, that was how Overwatch began, and people started off with Overwatch having no limits, and it led to some crazy comps, but now we do have a little bit of balance in it. Overwatch is played where teams in the esport are generally playing a best of 5, where it is the first to win 3 maps comfortably. It generally starts off with Control Point, which is the map style where you have 3 individual maps where you have to keep control of the point till it reaches 100%, or stop the enemy team from doing so. The first to 2 wins in that game mode wins the map. There is escort maps where you are primarily charged with escorting a cart through the streets of a map, bringing it to a certain location where you finish the map. If the enemy team is near the cart, it stops moving, so you have to contest and fight with the enemy team to stop them from stopping your progression. Then, if the winner of that is the winner who gets the most points in the maps are generally divided into 3 points per map, and you do them till you run out of time with a time limit of, normally I think it's 8 minutes. You then move on to a hybrid map. These maps combine the control point aspect as well as the escort maps, where you begin with getting a control point before moving on to a escort map as suggested, and assault is 2 control points in a row. Overwatch has a vast array of characters that can be used in different ways and methods, and Blizzard is a company heavily involved with its, customization, its upgrade. There is continual balance patches and changes with balance patches and changes to change up the gameplay, change up the meta, and really transform the game and change what people are playing. The meta is formed around different characters that seem to be strong at the moment based on their needs and desires for the current game of Overwatch. Overwatch is a fantastic game, and it's probably my favorite game, probably in a very long time. I've put so much time into Overwatch. It is very easy to pick up and play. You don't have to take it too seriously. You can mess around with different characters. There is arcade modes. I really suggest, if there is a free weekend of Overwatch, you download the client, no matter if you're on console or PC, as it's available on Xbox and PlayStation 4 as well as PC. Pick it up, have it a go, just jump in and have some fun. The Overwatch League itself is it's probably my favorite. Overall, it's the most professional and sports-like event going around. The Overwatch League generally runs over a long period of time, so you're never waiting long. It's generally, there's several maps a week, and it's really nice to pick a team and support them. Despite, you might not have a local team. Australia, we don't have a local team just yet. But to get involved, the players and personalities of Overwatch are fantastic. And overall, it's a really easy game to understand and get into. You don't have to understand the complexities of the game to enjoy the esports. The casters are fantastic, and it's something you should get involved with. So I really hope that this Esports for Dummies gets you into Overwatch. If you have any questions about Overwatch, tweet at me at your boy Ringo, or any questions about the show, tweet at me at your boy Ringo, or at Explosion Pod for the Explosion Network's Twitter account. Make sure you give us a follow right here on twitch.tv/Explosion Network so you can get all the information and the notification and the boopity boop to say that we've gone live. If you have Twitch Prime, why not give us a subscription with your Twitch Prime for absolutely free? You get one of those a month, so chuck us our way. It helps us keep the lights on and helps us create better content. If you go, Ciaran, I like esports, but I don't just want esports, that's fine. ExplosionNetwork.com, we have a wide variety of podcasts. We have a whole bunch of news articles, reviews, reacts. Go check it all out. Have some fun. Enjoy it. There's playlists. Go check out Bevan Beats this week. I did the article for it. It's pretty great. Check that out. Music. It's great. Thank you very much for joining me for Early Late Nights. Once again, this is the Esports News Show right here on Explosion Network. Come to you live every Tuesday and Friday at 6:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. But if you can't make it live to chat with me right here, right now, that's completely fine. The video on demand and audio podcast go up live on 7 p.m. on the Wednesday and the Saturday on all good podcasting services, youtube.com/Explosion Network, and ExplosionNetwork.com. I hope you have a fantastic weekend playing whatever games you're going to play. Enjoy some Dota 2. Check out the Summit 7 for all your Smash Bros. Action. And, play some Overwatch if you can do that. Thank you very much for joining me. I've been Ciaran Marchant. Have a good game.